Hey everyone, Dr. Pam Maragliano-Muniz, Chief Editor for Dental Economics Magazine, and welcome to DE Business Lab with one of my absolute faves, Josh Austin. Welcome.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Oh my gosh, so good. And I know we're talking about a topic that doesn't excite everybody. It kind of excites me a little bit. I'm pretty easily entertained, but it's one of the most important topics that we really need to talk about, and it's handpiece maintenance. What's your take on this?
Um, I, you're a practice owner. We have to worry about so much. There's so much we do. You're a prosthodontist, so you have to worry at a higher quality than I do as a GP. You know, that's the prosthodontist creed. And there's just so many things. Like I had a patient today that I had to literally like cancel like important meetings for because their orthodontist didn't show up for to make them new retainers, and that was my problem. And so I had to like clear my afternoon and do a scan on them and 3D print it, fire up my thermal pressure forming machine to make this person retainers, like in the middle of a Friday afternoon. And there's just like, I never knew I had to worry about my orthodontist not showing up for a patient's appointment and that being my fault. Like, there's so many things we have to worry about: our disability insurance, where our next payroll is coming from. The last thing that I want to worry about is picking up a handpiece to prep a crown and having it not work. That's the last thing I want to worry about. And that's why handpiece maintenance is so important. Like, that's the one thing that we need to be able to produce the dollars that we need for everything else to happen. And if the handpiece doesn't work, like, there's just nothing more irritating.
It's so true. And I feel like hand pieces, if you get a quality handpiece, you get what you pay for. So clearly, I think, opting for one of the better hand pieces out there is the best approach. But my hand pieces are kept like down the hallway a little bit from my operatory. And there's nothing worse than your handpiece like starting to feel hot, or all of a sudden I want to change a burr. I'm a burr changer. I can't help it. It's just what I do. And sometimes the burr gets stuck in the chuck. And I just am like
It's like
imagining now,
cold welded in there and you can't get it out.
yeah. And it's like it went in with no problem, but it's like a one-way ticket. It's not coming out. And I think, shoot, you know what? All I'm imagining now is here I am in the middle of a procedure, and I'm just imagining all of the money that I'm about to spend either on a new handpiece or handpiece repair. And then I'm wondering, why did this even happen in the first place? And
Yeah.
the reality is we have to maintain them properly. It's like we have to have like a well-oiled machine and a well, you know, just like anything else, like we have to take the best care of our handpieces, right?
Yeah. And it's, like we're at the point now where there's a lot of companies that make like single use burrs, right? So you have a burr that you would use on one patient and then throw it away. We're not anywhere close to that on handpieces. So we're not, until we get to single use handpieces, you have to take care of your handpieces. And it is not unlike taking care of any other mechanical thing in your life. Even if you buy the nicest car there is, I mean, I don't know, what, a Bugatti Veyron or something like that, like, you still have to maintenance it, right? You still have to get the oil change. You still have to change out the cabin air filter. You still got to do all that stuff. And if you want it to work, if you want to be able to put miles on it, and the same is true for even the Cadillacs and hand pieces, that you have to maintain them. They have to be lubricated well. And that's obviously something that we are going to delegate to our team members. I don't know any dentist. You may know a prosthodontist because you guys are like a special kind of like detail oriented that may like take care of their own handpiece maintenance, but it's like delegated, and it is the last thing that gets thought about in between a procedure. Trying to turn a room over and like lubricating and running a handpiece is just, it's like just check it off the box like really quick and off and done and not even think about it. And then we throw it in a hot autoclave and all that like oil and junk that's in there now gets like cooked together, and then we have exactly what you talked about, the handpiece that won't spin a burr or won't let go of your burr when you're done. So, it's one of those things that it's an ugly part of dentistry that has to get done, and it's probably getting done in a rushed manner by a dental auxiliary, and they're not putting their full focus on it. And so I think we need to set our team up for success with dental handpiece maintenance, and I think that's twofold. I think number one, obviously, is education. They need to understand why it's important. And number two is we have to get them the things that they need in order to be able to do that maintenance. And I think one of those things to me is the Quattro Care made by Cavo, which is just a really simple and easy system to make sure that your handpieces are getting cleaned and lubricated the way they need to be.
Absolutely. So the Quattro Care is sold. There's more Quattro Care sold in North America than any other maintenance unit. So if you're looking for one or you don't have one, that's a great, like, you could close your eyes and just order it. It's the really kind of the best way to go. But you have to control the process because I don't know about you, back when I was an associate and I had more time, or even as a hygienist, you'd see the assistants like hand lubricating, and you'd have like the one assistant that's like good enough, and then there's like the assistant that like sits there like all day, like wasting a half a can on a handpiece. And then they're doing it in the sterilization room. So they're not running the oil through the handpiece. They're just shooting it in and like calling it a day. And
We used
so,
to have to do that in dental school. At my dental school, we didn't have like one of these nice like systems that you like plug the handpiece in and close the door and ran it. Like we used to have to process and like tear for our own handpieces. Did you guys have that? Was that part of your deal, or did like an auxiliary take care of that for you?
so this is really not good. I'm remembering like cans with the long red
Yes, it
thing,
was like a big hairspray can that had like this long nozzle on
but I'm remembering seeing them around the clinic. I cannot sit here and tell you that I was like, oh, every time me and my can. No, no, no. And also on the end of the handpiece, like there's multiple openings. Like
it.
you're
Yeah.
not supposed to oil all of them. And so like I'm like a do all of the things. So I'm sure if I even oiled them at all, I like screwed it up totally. And I'm sure I'm not alone with that.
We learned so much about the Krebs cycle and the Golgi apparatus and what ribosomes do, and nothing about caring for handpieces or like how to get your equipment to last as long as possible. Like I could have dealt with one less lecture on how many molecules of glucose or ATP come from one molecule of glucose in order to have like an equipment person come in and tell me this is what you need to do this, do this, do this, and you'll like save yourself thousands of dollars in your career. The Golgi apparatus has never made me any money. It's never saved me any money. But the Quattro Care, I think that's where it's at.
But see, that's what's perfect. Like, because we know about the Golgi apparatus and we don't know how to properly maintain our handpieces, now you don't have to know. All you have to know is just get the Quattro Care, let it
This
do it
machine.
for you. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, it's now done in a controlled manner. It's done in a calibrated way. It doesn't matter who's placing it into the machine.
Yeah.
And your handpieces are going to be set up for success and for longevity.
Yeah, totally controlled and standardized, which I think is important. And again, we're investing a lot of money into these handpieces. And I remember when I started my practice, right? Like money is tight, and you're trying to figure out what to spend money on, and like you have this plan of stuff. And one of the things you're gonna like probably skimp on a little bit is probably the number of handpieces you would buy. So I think I bought like 4 handpieces when I started my practice, which means that like once we started like filling the schedule, we were having to run the handpieces multiple times a day, right? And so I'm kind of a quality over quantity guy. I'd rather have like one nice handpiece versus 3 like crappy Chinese eBay handpieces. But that means you're running it more, right? And so part of that is protecting it. And so having this machine, this machine like a Quattro Care that you just can fit multiple handpieces in at one time, hit a button while the assistant is doing other things, doing the statum or bagging the instruments from the hand instruments into a sterilization bag or cartridge, and getting all that ready. By the time they're done with all that, the hand pieces are done with their cycle. They're ready to go in the autoclave and go. And so I would much rather a dentist who's trying to outfit their practice with new hand pieces or starting a new practice, get 3 nice brand hand pieces like a Cavo Electromatics, and then top it off with the Quattro Care and just make sure you're really taking care of it. I just think it's super duper important.
No, I agree. And I love that about the Quattro Care. If so, like I, from over the past 10 years, have collected like several brands of handpieces.
Yeah.
But the Quattro Care works with virtually all manufacturers' handpieces, even air-driven handpieces, and even
Yeah.
different types of scalers and air motors as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can use with the Quattro Care. But if you do have a Cavo handpiece, and you maintain it with a Quattro Care, you've literally just like extended your warranty. And really, if you do run into an issue with your handpiece, it could be fixed really quickly.
Yeah. And I like, especially like your slow speed handpiece, right? Like I use slow speed a lot, whether it be like in direct restorations when I'm polishing, and using all my various like discs and polishing points and whatnot. But I also use a slow speed handpiece with the like friction grip chuck on it, to like refine margins, and things like that, or like do IPR, with like a high speed burr. But I don't want to do that at 200,000 IP or 200,000 RPM. So I use like a slow speed handpiece with multiple chucks on it. Well, the chucks really need to be lubricated on their own as well. And so, like the Quattro Care makes that really easy. That's kind of a once a week sort of thing. Like every Friday, run the chucks, and that will keep that chuck from getting gummed up. And that's really where a lot of the stuff happens. There's just a ton of ball bearings moving around in there at like 200,000 RPM, which is like 20 times faster than an F-18 jet engine. And I don't know if you know this, Pam, but it's all ball bearings now. I don't know if you know that. You may not understand that reference. You may be too young for that reference.
I'm very young. Yes.
Yeah, Chevy Chase saying it's all ball bearings now. It's not ringing any bells. If
I
somebody
that
on
went
watching this is like, hell yeah, I love Fletch. Someone's watching right now. Who gets that reference? It's all ball bearings now. But really, it's all ball bearings in your handpiece that's making it happen. And you have to keep those things lubricated, because if not, basically the dirt and grime and dentin and junk that ends up there gets mixed with like the little bit of ill-placed lubricant and basically forms concrete on the inside of your handpiece and just locks it up, which is what happens when you can't get your burr out. That's basically what's happened. So you just got to care for these things. Take good care of them. They'll take good care of you.
most definitely. And you talked earlier about a Bugatti. You talked about nice cars. I mean, would you, let like your neighbor's son like go on one of those little dollies where they roll under your car to like change your oil? No, of course not. You're
Yeah,
going to
you're going
leave
to take it
that
to the
in the
person who knows.
hands. Exactly. And so take your hand pieces every single time you use them and make sure you're maintaining them properly, because you are going to be grateful that you watched this video, because we might have saved you thousands of dollars.
And you got a Fletch reference, which couldn't be more timely in 2024. A 45-year-old Chevy Chase movie that no one's thought about in 30 years.
Well, no, this is nice. Now I have some homework, so I'm going to go watch the movie and I'm going to wait for the ball bearings comment, and I'm going to text you and be like, "That was actually kind of cute. That was funny.
I
Thank you."
don't know if it holds up. It's been several years since I watched it. I'm not sure it holds up.
Oh my gosh, I'm totally going to text you and be like, "That was a flop, big flop." I really, yeah, no. Get the Quattro Care. Maybe don't forget the movie. Let's just maintain your hand pieces.